Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very, very special episode of the Stacey West Podcast. I'm your host, Ben, and I'm joined by Emily. How are we doing, Emily? You well?
Hi, Ben. Yeah, I'm doing really well, thank you. I'm a bit warm again. I think whenever we come on the podcast, there's a heat wave.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm doing well, and I'm really excited for what we've got coming up on the show. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm really excited. I just want to get straight into this one. So obviously, those of you that are watching on YouTube, you can probably see there is a bit of a gap in the lineup at the moment. It's a bit lopsided, and that is because we've got a very special episode for you. When we started the podcast back in 2018, Gaz and I said there was one guest that we really wanted to come on the pod, and nearly 7 years later, we've managed to get him. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Stacey West Podcast, Mr Matt Rhead. How you doing, mate? You well?
Really well, thank you very much for having me. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, great. Look, we really do appreciate you taking the time to pop on and have a chat with us about all things. Well, was it 2017 to 2020? I guess.
Probably time away now, but amazing memories as you'll hear about on the podcast. But ones that I think about fondly, and still speak to quite a few of the players as well, who we reminisce about the good times. But the club's in a good place now, and which is amazing as well. So.
Yeah, we did have a little thought before you came on. Actually, we said, do you still have like a Lincoln City, golden era WhatsApp group or anything like that everyone's in?
We don't have a group WhatsApp, but I still speak to quite a few of the players individually. And we've done a few charity matches as well recently, where it's nice to have a catch up and see where everybody's up to and where they're at, and talk about how amazing it was and what a roller coaster ride. When you're in it at the time, I think we said a few times, when you're in that bubble, you don't realise what's going on. But I suppose when you take a step back and you come away from it, you realise how special them times were.
Absolutely. So we'll start. Well, I suppose we'll start at the beginning. I guess. I mean, obviously, your first pro deal came at 28, which was, obviously a bit of a late start in professional football by most standards. I believe there was probably a part-time role at Mansfield before that as well. How scary was it going from a day job to suddenly, I've got a chance to live the dream and play professional football?
Yeah, it was a massive decision. I was doing well at JCB at the time. Got a good job, secure, playing part-time. Got a young family as well, which is always difficult. But I never wanted to finish football living with any regrets. And I think I've said it multiple times, even if it was for 6 months, one season, I could always say I played professional football. And that's all I've ever wanted to do, from being 4 years old, playing in the school playground, to 40 years old now. I still won't play professional football now, but that opportunity wasn't going to come again, especially at 28. So I grasped it, and like I said, thankfully I did, and it worked out well for myself.
Great. And when you moved from Mansfield to Lincoln City, obviously you were making a decision to drop out of the Football League and into non-league football. What motivated that decision, and was it difficult to come to that decision to move from a Football League club into a non-league team?
So I spoke to the manager who took me to Mansfield, left, Paul Cox, and the new manager, Adam Murray, said it probably wasn't going to play, and I've always wanted to play. There's no point sitting on the bench sometimes you have to take steps back to go forward, and I always believe that. So Chris Moyes rung me up and sold the club to me. I went down a long way. He facilitated me travel by giving me Mondays off and helping me out that way, stopping over a few nights at the club and sort the facilities out to stop over, and it was a good place. Lee Beavers went as well at the same time, so that was good. I knew quite a few of the players from playing in previous seasons, so it was a good fit. It was a long way, but the ground was amazing. There's a massive catchment area that you could see the potential. And yeah, mainly like Chris Moyes, he sold the club to me. He's a very passionate man about Lincoln City, and he told me he wanted to build a team around me. And I think as a footballer, that's all you ever want.
Definitely so. I mean, were there any major differences between how Mansfield did things and how things were done at Lincoln? Did you notice a drop in, quality of players or even just differences in how training was done, for example, stuff like that?
Not really. I think the main thing was the stadiums. They're both quite similar stadiums. I thought they were very similar levels. The situation was that Lincoln didn't have the support there at that time. I mean, Mansfield, we got promotion there. Not that season, I left the season before. So you obviously get bigger crowds and stuff like that start coming because they were in the league. But there was definitely potential, and there was some good players as well. Like I say, some of the players went through the whole journey during my time there. So Chris did an amazing job at getting some very good players there on a tight budget as well. So I think we had a team of hard-working footballers who wanted to play for the club.
And what were your first impressions when you arrived at Lincoln City? And are there any memories of that first pre-season that stand out to you?
Yeah, it was the first pre-season. Chris was pretty old school manager. He was about getting the lads together. I remember, I'm not sure what army camp we went, but we did, I think, 3 or 4 days there. And I was thinking, this probably isn't for me after all. But it was more about the team morale. We used to be carrying logs around for miles and miles, and it was proper old school. We used to train at the barracks, and there was obviously conker trees everywhere, and there was conkers all over the pitch, and it was just a good atmosphere. It'd take us all out. Chris would for a game of golf some days, and it was a proper good team ethic atmosphere, and everybody would run through a brick wall for him because he was such a good man manager. We obviously had a good. We didn't really have the squad to compete that season, but we had a good core squad. So if everybody was fit, we'd do really well. And then if we had to bring people in, then we'd tend to struggle. But we just didn't have the budget to push on in that season. We had a few injuries. I had a hernia the same season because we had to play so many games, and we were training on astroturf. Luke Waterfall had a hernia. I think we had some sort of discount at the hernia operation clinic where we went, and it was good. It was good, but yeah, it was great memories and ones that'll live for me forever. It was really good.
Good stuff. I mean, that first season under Moyes is, as you say, you kind of started well and finished mid-table after tailing off a little bit. It obviously, the story goes, it led to you putting a transfer request in. So what happened there, and how was it taken in, within the club, and were there any disagreements?
Yeah, it was a difficult decision. I was scoring lots of goals at the time, thankfully, and I knew that Chris wasn't going to potentially be there permanently. The old manager, Paul Cox, who was at Mansfield, was at Barrow, and offered me I was at 20, probably 30 at the time, 31, offered me a player coach role, which would have been perfect. Travelling would have been Manchester. It just ticked all the boxes. That's what I wanted to do. And I didn't think I'd play till I was 36, 37. So that next stage of playing and coaching would have been a perfect fit. It didn't happen. And I'm glad it didn't, obviously, because the story continued at Lincoln. And after speaking to the Cowleys, I didn't want to leave anyway. So. I think it's always difficult when a new manager comes in, knowing what their thoughts and philosophies, and if they won't be. When I moved to Lincoln, first off, like I already said, Chris desperate to keep me, desperately get me in. You don't know when the part of their plans. It's a bit of uncertainty at the club, so I knew that my old manager wanted to take me, and I knew I'd play every week. So, like I say, at that age, I want to play as many football matches as I can and enjoy it.
Yeah, but was there any friction internally between you and Chris or anybody else? Was it just one of those where you think Chris realised it was probably a footballing decision and it was accepted?
No, it's not, like me and Chris. No animosity at all. He understood what I sat down, and like I say, he was the manager, but he was only a short-term thing. I don't think he was planning on taking it on for the next 5 years or whatever. He was just there to help the club. He loves Lincoln City Football Club, and he'd do anything for him. And he put a lot of his own money and time into keeping the club afloat. So it wasn't ever going to be forever. So we never had crosswords. I was pretty clear with him what the situation was.
Cool.
And you mentioned there, Matt, that you were almost on your way to Barrow after that season. And I think the story is quite well known amongst Lincoln City fans that Danny and Nicky actually came to visit you to persuade you to stay. Is there anything specific that they said that you could tell us that really kind of helped you make that decision to stay at Lincoln City?
Well, it's funny because Danny, first day he signed, it was a big press conference, and then the next day I got a phone call from him saying, Danny Cowley, I'm Lincoln manager, I won't come speak to you. And I was adamant at this time that my mind was made up, training in Manchester, coaching role. I wanted leave, and he said, "Don't worry, because I'm already at Stoke." So I was like, "God, you're brave if you're already at Stoke." So he was there, and I met him at the Starbucks, and I was even driving there. I was convinced there's nobody going to change my mind. And as soon as I sat down with him, it was just their aura and how passionate they were about football. To change my mind in such a short period of time, prove what special people they were. They said very similar to really to how Chris was, that they wanted to build a team around me. They obviously played against them that season because they were at Braintree, and it was a crazy conversation which I can't really explain, but they made me. As soon as I walked away from there, I was Lincoln City player for as long as they wanted me, definitely.
So they used Jedi mind tricks, is what you're trying to say. It was just kind of, you will stay.
Incredible people like to come up here and tell me about what they want to do with the club, and you could see what they did with the club at the time, to get fans involved, and you could see gradually the crowds were building up, and they're 100 mile an hour, like they don't stop, they don't sleep, and they sell you the dream. And thankfully the dream came true of playing all them magnificent games and getting loads of promotions and stuff like that. But credit to them that they're very passionate people, and you could tell that anyway.
Yeah, I mean, so you say there that going at 100 mile an hour and putting in new regimes, changing stuff. How quickly did everything change internally under Danny and Nicky compared to Chris Moyes and the previous regime? I mean, were there any major, massive shifts between?
Definitely, overnight it changed the training. It wasn't we wouldn't just run for the sake of it. They put proper training plans. Every player would have an individual plan of how far they'd run. Maybe he was just making it up, but he made it feel like everybody had their own plan. Like the older lads wouldn't do as much, the younger lads, and he'd manage everybody's minutes individually. And to be fair, he could have said anything to us at the time, but we sort of bought into it. Like I spoke a few times about how we'd spend 20 minutes, half an hour on kickoffs and throw-ins and corners, and he used to say 1% to all this is game. As boring as it is, which it is boring if you're standing there watching, but we all get goals. And I think Sean and Luke got multiple goals that season, over 20 centre halves, and then you start seeing the players coming in. You obviously got Sean Raggett, Nathan Arnold, who's done really well in that league previously, and you start thinking, oh, we've got an opportunity here that we can do really well. I think the squad got better. Obviously had a little bit of investment and stuff, but the players, and they brought obviously Woodyard from where they were previously, Braintree, and Sam Habergam, and you see start a squad coming together to add to what we already had, because don't get me wrong, Chris brought some great players in like Hawkridge and Muldoon, Waterfall, Calamau, and to just add them little bits of quality as well was good as well. You could see that there was an opportunity that we could do something special.
And you talked there about the new players that all kind of came into the squad for that first season under Danny and Nicky. Yeah. What was it like being part of that squad? Because the team spirit must have been, it must have been sky high, especially as the season progressed and, you were achieving all the things that you'd set out to do. Yeah,
definitely. I think pre-season we integrated quite well. A lot of them were a few younger lads. Quite a few of them stayed in Lincoln. They got houses there. They all stayed together, and everyone bonded quite quickly together. And then obviously, as soon as you start playing matches and doing well, naturally you come together even more. And we used to play game like in the change rooms before. And Danny would walk in, whoever got the ball would be a fine and stuff like that. And we'd play cricket in the change room. Sounds mad, but it was an unbelievable time. And like I say, the team morale obviously gets you through. Obviously, when you start getting further and further, especially in the FA Cup, you're under a microscope, and you probably won't ever have that in your life again. But I think a lot of the players embraced it really well and showed a good side of what non-league football was all about.
And I'm sure we could spend a whole podcast on its own talking about that one season and all the highs. But to rattle off a few of the key moments, I think that we, for all fans and for us at the podcast as well, I've got fond memories of you at Torquay away with the head bandage on. Obviously, the FA Cup run that you've mentioned, and that infamous clash with Joey Barton, the comeback at Gateshead away, and then obviously all culminating in us winning the title that season. There's so much to go through, but if I was to put you on the spot and say, what are your top favourite memories from that season, what would you say?
Obviously, the main one for me was obviously Burnley. Nobody gave us a chance. That moment in time stood still. Felt like decades. Just the ball getting in the net and waiting to see the ref blow his whistle. We knew that they couldn't score a goal. And the fans behind the crowd behind the goal were amazing that day. And even Ipswich away we took 5,000 to Ipswich and got a draw, which was, we should have won that game as well. And the further you go as well, you get more belief in the league. And I think we know that on a weekly basis. But yeah, definitely the Burnley game, that to win that football match was incredible. Obviously, we went to Arsenal away and it did. Lost, which that's crazy. But it's good fun, the FA Cup, and the supporters never left us. To be fair, so fair play.
I mean, obviously, there was a lot of moments in the league as well that will stand out for people. Emily mentioned, the Gateshead game. I've chastised Nathan a few times for his goal because I jumped off my sofa and I punched a light bulb out of a fixture when that one went in. So, I mean, are there any moments like in that spell where you kind of just look at it and go, that was beyond special? I mean, obviously for fans, you look at the likes of Forest Green and the Gateshead game, but are there any maybe more little known ones that you can pick out?
I think I personally think the Torquay game at home, I think the Sam Abraham score a free kick, and I think Danny mentioned we're running on empty. We'd utilised the squad to the maximum. We were running in the FA Cup, obviously. We had the League Cup and we had the league, and I think we were 1-0 down. Form's made an unbelievable save, and then Sam scored a free. I'm not sure who scored the first one, but I think it might have been Harry Anderson, but he scored a free kick from 25 yards. I think 2 weeks on the bounce he did that for us, to be fair. But that just showed that how hard and willing we were to go to the end. And Danny prided himself on making us fit and making sure that we were there in the 90th minute. And through that season, I think you could see the fitness and the mentality that we'd got. We'd do scenarios in training of being games 2-1 down, 3-1 down, and how we'd go about it. And like I say, he never left. Both him and Nicky never left any stone unturned, and that paid off for us in the whole season. Like I say, Forest Green, you'd think we were beat. As soon as Alex Woodyard scored, the game switched, turned on its head, and nobody expected Alex Woodyard scored. So I think that's what mattered to that as well. So, but amazing. I think they would have gone 10 or 12 points clear. It's probably a league over as soon as we scored that. We then beat them at home. And it was like a roller coaster because we were doing so well beating these championship teams and Premier League teams. Your confidence grows anyway because you know you can beat teams every week in our league. So I think they both played hand in hand to create an unbelievable season that will probably never be replicated again.
And what was it like when we in that FA Cup run going to Arsenal and just lining up against those world class players that, they're superstars, aren't they? They're kind of your A-listers. What was that like?
Crazy. I think we stopped down at a place called Landmark Hotel, which I've never been before. It was all the best hotel. We normally Holiday Inns and stuff, to be fair, with Lincoln, but I don't know if you've been to Landmark in London. It was incredible, beautiful hotel, and we were like a bit fish out of water here. But the whole experience, we were given football boots from probably round 3 of the FA Cup, and there was every week you get a pair of football boots. The whole team just send orders off, and you start feeling like a proper footballer, to be fair, for that short period. And it's not going to last forever, but walking out in front of that sort of in that arena against them sort of players was daunting. But the scary thing that we believe, I personally believe, we could still beat them. We watched them against. Did they play Sutton in the game before? I know it was away from home, but they weren't brilliant. And to be fair, they played all their best players against us, which gave us a little bit of credit, I suppose. I know they played a few younger lads against Sutton, but to be fair, it was a tough game, but it was still 0-0 at 40 minutes. So as soon as they scored, it was a difficult game, and came away probably disappointed that we got beat 5-0, but we played a top Premier League team, and you can't take anything away from them.
I think that was I was saying, I think that was a feeling from a lot of fans. Like, you know, I remember on the bus on the way down, there was a little bit of belief, and everyone's like, "Oh, we can do this. And then you see the team sheet come in, you go, "Okay, well, maybe."
Yeah. The one thing I remember as well, we'd sit in the changing room. In our change rooms, obviously, you're sitting 2 centimetres away from everybody. You're crammed in. In theirs, you had to send a message to everybody to talk to them. It was that big. They had like a warm-up area. In their change rooms after the game, they got swimming pools, and we're used to getting changed in porta cabins, you know what I mean? So it was just the whole experience in the day was amazing. Just the result, obviously, we came up short, comfortably short as well.
I remember that. I remember the interview afterwards, and I think Danny basically said, "Oh, it's all right. We've got an away game on Tuesday." So I bet that was a little bit of whiplash going from the Emirates to
on the Tuesday night, didn't we?
Yeah.
So it was a rude awakening, definitely. But we managed to win that 1-0. I think the Waterfall scored off a corner. So it was an amazing experience, and one that I'm sure every player will remember forever.
Yeah. That game at the Emirates as well, I always stand by this. We had a chance really early on that drew an excellent save from Petr Cech, and I just think if that had gone in, I think that would have been a completely different story.
Yeah, would have won. Would have caught the ball into the goal, definitely. I think Nate ran down the line, chopped in, didn't he, and tried curling past Petr Cech, which sounds crazy, but we were in the game. But as soon as they scored, I think you could see it knocked the stuffing out of us, to be fair, but. It was, like I say, we gave it our best shot and came up short.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, then, you know, heading towards the end of the season, that game against Macclesfield, when that goal went in, I'm pretty sure it measured on the Richter scale for everybody in Lincoln. What was that moment when that second goal went in like? And just was the rest of the day just a complete blur, or is there anything that sticks in your mind from that?
I remember after the game just getting swamped by thousands of fans just all on the pitch. Thinking, how am I going to get out of here? But Terry Oakridge, what unbelievable player when we needed him. I think he scored first half, didn't he? And then that one in the bottom corner from an angle that nobody should even shoot from. But all through the season, we were saying to him, you need to shoot more because he's got great technique. And when he needed, he stepped up and scored 2 amazing goals that got us promotion. And I was glad that we were pushed all the way as well, because it showed what mentality we'd got as well. If we'd won it early, then it wouldn't have looked as good, I don't think. But all the way to the end of the season, it was incredible. So, like I say, desperate. The fans, the place was rocking. And throughout the season, the fans were amazing. And that was always the thing that stuck in my head, how good the fans were. They'd come away games, like, say, Gateshead away on, I think it was Bank Holiday. And you see these thousands of fans getting up to Gateshead, and what team isn't going to get pushed on by seeing that amazing support? And as much as the players did amazing, the support was there as well.
So in that game against Gateshead, obviously it was a really late show, and I think the commentary even said it was a famously late show. How do you keep that belief as a squad, and particularly as a centre forward? How do you keep that and think, right, we're still in this, or we can still do this? Obviously, the penalty that was given was a daft penalty to give away when you look at it, but as soon as you get that opportunity, obviously know that you're back in with it. But up until that point, because I think that was one where, again, as Raggett would have said, we're not at our best today, but how do you keep that belief in your head that we can do this?
I think it's because you look around the players we had good players on the bench. Like I said previously, we played so many games at this time that we were just fumbling our way through games. It'd be like 2-1 wins or 1-0 last minute corner, like North Ferriby away was a 1-0 corner. But the mentality and the belief in the team that we had players like Nathan Arnold would pop up with a goal, or midfielders who'd score, centre halves. We had goals all through the team. It wasn't just relying on a striker. Obviously, Theo Robinson was in the team till he moved as well. Didn't score many in the league, but for the FA Cup, he was a critical part of scoring quite a few goals. I think as long as the game went on, we trained in a way that we knew we'd always have a chance if we get a chance. I think Sean Raggett against that had a shot that just went wide, and we had loads of different ways of scoring goals. I think that was we weren't just relying on one. Some teams just rely on the strikers. Like Sam Abigawa chipping with a goal. I think Bradley Wood scored a few goals as well. Even when everyone's chipping in, it definitely gives you a chance. It takes the pressure off the strikers, I suppose. And I think he only got 15, 16 goals that season. But everyone chipped in, which made it a team effort, I think.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Go on, Emily.
I was going to say, I think that belief, from a fan's point of view, that came across as well. Because I don't think as fans we ever felt like we were out of it. Even when we were getting beat in games, it always felt like we had something in us and we were going to come back and win. Which, it was an amazing feeling. Really, we felt unbeatable as a squad, which must be kind of a lot of pressure to carry, but also, carries you through, as you say.
Unbelievable when you turn up football matches knowing that you've got a good chance of winning. It's something that you're going into the match full of confidence that you can beat them. When we went at the best, we'd still get results. So that gives you confidence as well. That as long as you stay in the game, I think that's what we used to say: stay in the game till the 90th minute, you'll definitely get a chance. And we got quality in the squad that could take them chances. So. And to be fair, I spoke about the fans previously, but they never turned on us. Like some places you go, the fans will start booing or moaning if somebody missed a shot. If it was somebody missed a shot, it's like, oh, unlucky, like cheering and stuff like that. So I think that support had a massive effect on the team as well to keep going as well and keep trying different things, shooting chances and creating chances, doing different things. And they never got on the players' backs, which was amazing, really. Obviously, we had a good season up until that point. But, it was important that we played till the end and see where we came.
Cool. So sort of moving slightly away from the pitch, are there any stories that have had enough time pass to maybe air publicly now? Any moments on the road that people might enjoy, away day stories or anything like that? And I know one thing I did want to ask, is there anything that you've got maybe on Mark Cooper that might put a smile on Gary's face?
Mark Cooper, no, he never really spoke to me, funny enough, Mr. Cooper. But the best thing about beating Forest Green was obviously upsetting Mark Cooper. I don't think he was fond with how we played, and we loved that. Even I think Danny and Nicky loved that. The fact that he didn't like the way we played. We were physical, we were strong, we wanted to get the ball in the box, and he wanted to play like he was in the Premier League. And at that level, and that was our drive, really. At that level, you can't do that. We, like Danny Cowley made us mark Theo Robertson mark the goalkeeper because he was their best passer of the ball, which sounds crazy. So all they do is if they got pressured, they just pass it back to the keeper, and then all the pressure would be relieved. So Theo used to mark their keeper, and then they had nowhere to go. Their game plan, they'd have to start getting long, so then they're playing out into our hands, stuff like that. You think, why is he making Theo mark the keeper? And then when you're playing the game, you're like, oh, I see why he's doing it now and stuff like that. I mean. And then you buy into everything he says then because you believe in him so much that I understand why he's saying that and why we're doing that. So it was a great game plan against Forest Green. And they were a good team. They had technical players. They had a lot of players on a lot of money from higher up and drop down to come up against the team and comfortably beat them. I think both on both occasions was a great feeling.
Cool. And come on, give us some that's juicy, Matt. Come on, what's happened away from the pitch?
Away from the pitch, not really. Actually, you've put me on the spot here. I've tried to think. I have to come back to you.
All right, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's great looking back and reminiscing about that season. And like I said earlier, I think we could do that for a whole podcast in its own right. But we did get promoted to the Football League, and I think it's definitely worth us touching on that first season back in the Football League. And obviously that's the trip to Wembley in the Checkatrade Trophy. What was that like? Obviously going to Wembley, Lincoln City's first time at Wembley. Given your story, we've spoken about how you came into pro football slightly later on and knowing that you had to seize that opportunity, and then the opportunity comes to win a trophy at Wembley. What was that like?
Yeah, I think as any kid growing up, you want to play at Wembley. You watch FA Cup finals, don't you? And I was lucky enough I support Stoke City, so they played in the Auto Glassing Trophy as what we won. It's just named differently now. And I watched Stoke win at Wembley as well, so in Stockport. So to win at Wembley for my own team and play at Wembley is something that not many people can say. I sometimes think, would it have been different if we lost? Would I still have the same amazing thoughts and memories of Wembley if we'd lost? And I don't think we would. So if I got sent off in the first 5 minutes, then it would have been a different story, I think. But to win, walk up the steps, a winner at Wembley, like I say, there's not many people who can say that in front of so many fans. Was it 25,000 or something like that? I think when we turned up, they were top of league League One, I think they were at the time, Shrewsbury. They only had 12,000 fans. So when you turn up as the underdogs, supposedly, with 25,000 fans behind you, and you're seeing videos of what's going on in the town and the amazing atmosphere that Lincoln City have took over London, it was incredible to go out. And like I say, if we'd lost, would it have been a different thought process? Probably, yeah. But the fact that we won and walked the steps and got a winner's medal was incredible, and cherish that for as long as I can.
As someone that, you mentioned you were travelling into to the city to train and to play, as somebody that was kind of still coming in and almost a bit of an outsider, was it, how apparent was it and how obvious was it, the change in the city and the change in, the atmosphere around the place? Because obviously the crowds grew and you get more fans through the gates and stuff like that. But as you're coming in, as you're doing the training, as you come in and go in every day, was there a noticeable change outside of match day, or was it kind of one of those where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's how it is?
Definitely. There's definitely a change. Obviously, the more people that see what's happening at Lincoln, and the more people go, the more you get recognised, the more people want to talk to you about it, which, don't get me wrong, I loved all that. I love talking to people about football, and you'd get stopped at pouring petrol in at Asda or going around the town, because I'd stop down a couple of nights and go for some tea or something with the lads down the front, and people want to talk to you and they want to get photos, and that's not normal for like a non-league team at the time. Which when I come away, the good thing was a lot of lads lived in Lincoln, so they're getting that all the time out with their families and stuff like that. So a lot of the time I'd come away to Stoke and nobody even knows who you are, do they? So I'd get that bit of break. But in Lincoln it was amazing. But obviously the more publicity we got, the more people wanted to talk to you, which was incredible.
I mean, did that publicity side of things? We're nipping back into the 2016-17 here, but obviously there was a lot of publicity around like the Burnley game, the Arsenal game, and all of that, and there was quite a lot made of you as a person and as a character. Obviously, he's a big man that plays non-league football, and there was obviously a hell of a lot more to you than that. How did you find that, and how did you cope with that and deal with that at the time? Was it one that was like, this is amazing, or it was like, oh, okay, step away a little bit?
Yeah, I think you do probably step away a little bit from what people are saying. Well, I've always been, forever as I've played, everyone's always criticised how you play and how you look, and you're not a normal footballer, and you're tall and you're big and you knock people about and you're physical. But that drove me. That's always been my drive, to prove people wrong that I'm a good footballer as well. Like, so as much as it spurs you on more than anything. So like the Cooper thing that you speak about, where he's critical of how we play and how I knock people about and we're physical, that sort of drove me to like prove him wrong, that we are a good team and we do it our way, but we're still better than them. And I think more criticism we got, or more people had the spotlight on you, the more you want to show that you're a good player.
And I think you certainly did. I think, before we did this podcast, myself and Ben were talking about all those memories, but also the memories from in the league as well. That goal away at Coventry that just hit the top corner, which was just like a rocket. I know Ben's is one of Ben's favourites.
Yeah, honestly,
we were on the playoffs that day, and he got us in the playoffs, a midweek game, and we managed to beat them. I think they were game for the playoffs as well. So it was a great day out at the Rico and Royal Stadium, that is, as well. So thankfully it dropped to me, and don't normally shoot from outside the box, but don't know why I did. Lee Freckleton edited it down, and I just connected really sweet with it, and thankfully it went in the top corner.
I remember I had to work late that night, so I couldn't make the game, and I was listening to the build-up in the car, and basically got in, and the radio was on in the house, and I just heard it was like, oh, has someone scored? And then managed to turn the video on, but because of the delay, I actually saw the goal. Just unbelievable! I can't believe how sweetly you hit that. It was easily one of my favourite goals of that year.
I've never hit one before, and I'll never hit one again. So it's just one in a million.
That's the best way to be sometimes, isn't it?
Definitely.
So obviously then, the final season at the Imps was in that season when we won the League Two title. Game times probably started to dwindle a little bit, and it led to, your departure from the Imps at the end of the season. Did that feel a little bit bittersweet? I mean, obviously, you've had this amazing spell at the club, and you've been, a key focus of everything. and in the season that we've won the league, you've maybe not featured as much as you'd have liked to have done. I mean, how do you cope with that? And was that, was it just quite bittersweet?
Yeah, it was very difficult. Obviously, when you're not playing as a football, like I said, all everyone do is play football, and when you're not playing on a regular basis, and then that's probably when the travelling was the most difficult, because you knew you'd be travelling in and you wouldn't be playing, and you'd just be a bit of. I came on sub, don't get me wrong, loads of times, but I wanted to play. I knew that my career was running to an end. Obviously, getting a bit older at this time, I wanted to play, and Danny basically said that at the end of the season that there wasn't going to be game time. I wanted to bring Tyler Walker in, so probably wouldn't even be in the squad some weeks. So I had to make that decision. It was probably the most difficult decision I've ever made in football, to be fair. And going away from Lincoln after everything that had gone on was difficult, but I realised that the next chapter was exciting, and we would have gone from there.
I mean, you can't really go out on too much more of a high than lifting the title, can you?
No, it was amazing. Winning the league that season, similar thing. We had some amazing players come through, and you can see the squad. The squad was good. We had good investment through the FA Cup, and the fans that were turning up every week. So, give ourselves a great chance to be successful. And don't get me wrong, Danny and Nicky both brought good players in to get that. There's no fluke that we won the league, and it comfortably as well. I think we had a few games spare, but it was a brilliant season with great memories as well. There's goals scored, late goals, and the support was amazing. And it was an incredible season.
And you obviously won the National League, won the Checker Trade Trophy, and then won League Two as well. I have to ask, where do you keep your winners' medals at home? Have they got pride of place somewhere on the mantelpiece?
The spare room, yeah. So I've put them all in frames with the shirts, and they're all there to be seen. I've got obviously one from Mansfield as well, but I'll keep that out of the way. Main ones, the Lincoln ones. But no.
Until you go on a Mansfield podcast.
Yeah, then I'll bring it with me. Yeah. Say the other way around. No, but great memories, and you can always reflect. Got little programs in and the medals, League Two, sorry. And it's always nice to have a look at your achievements sometimes and reminisce about the good times.
Absolutely right. Well, what we'll do before we delve into some more of the interesting questions, we've got a few of the quick fire questions for you now. So we'll fire some very quick questions and see what your immediate responses are. So from your time, Ben? Yeah, we'll tag team these ones. So from your time at Lincoln City, who had the worst taste in music?
Paul Farman.
Which of your teammates was the worst dressed?
Oh God, quite a few of them. The next supposed to be Quickfire. Alex Woodyard.
Okay. Who had the best and the worst changing room banter?
Jack Muldoon.
Is that best or worst?
Both.
It's quite an achievement to have both.
Yeah,
he's done really well there too. Fair, get a little mention.
Who was the least likely to appear on Mastermind?
Harry Anderson.
I'm so pleased. Sorry, yeah, we had a little prediction before, and then I said I'm guessing I'll probably say Harry on that one. Most likely to appear on Love Island.
Oh God, Callum out.
Ooh, okay. Do you have any pre-match superstitions?
I'd always put my right boot on before me left. I don't know why that is, but it's something I noticed off. It was a bit I didn't realise at first, but then after a bit, I thought, oh yeah, I always do that. That's weird. So yeah, right foot before left, because I don't normally do anything with my left foot.
Favourite goal from your time at the Imps?
Coventry one, I think. It was a big game. Technically, it was probably the best goal, but obviously the overhead kick one was one I liked as well. Most important was probably the Gateshead penalty. But yeah, I'd do it for out and out technique, probably that one.
And then your best moment at Lincoln City that wasn't a goal?
lifting a trophy at Wembley was definitely an amazing experience. Walking them steps and being successful was something that not many people, like I said before, can say, and one that I'm really proud of.
Fair enough. Right. Well, we've given you a little bit of time. Have you had a story that we can pluck out of the air?
I've got
Or
dementia. I think Cowleys said I had 1,000 aerial contacts. So I might have a bit of dementia for what anything like that. I'll have to, honestly, I can't think of anything on the spot. But there was crazy things under the Moyes. We'd stop and we'd go play golf. We'd stop over in hotels and there'd be carnage, all sorts going on, like people chasing each other around with fire extinguishers and proper stuff like that. I remember I drove the bus once to the barracks, the team bus. I don't know why I ended up driving it. So the whole team's in the back of the bus. I reversed the bus out of the barracks and dragged it all the way along the gate, which put a massive dent in the side of the. I didn't tell anybody about this, but obviously it's game you might find out now. But a massive dent in the side of the actual truck bus, and because Moyes weren't very happy about that. But stuff like that was really funny, like that running on the beach at Skegness with those amazing times. Too many even talk about, to be fair, but nights out where we were serving drinks in Lincoln behind the bar. Some bloke who's Lincoln fan got us behind the bar serving drinks, and yeah, it's incredible. Unbelievable memories. Me and Harry Toffolo going out for drinks in the week, going have a game of snooker and going out for drinks in the town, and Danny would find out and stuff. But really good memories that'll last a lifetime, like I say. But nothing really to write to him about and tell.
Fair enough. I mean, obviously, on the pitch, I think it's fair to say you were known for your housery a little bit. The thing I've always wondered, when you've got a bit of a reputation like that, did it ever backfire? And did it ever kind of did you ever say something and maybe rub someone up the wrong way beyond a certain point, or were there any moments where you thought I might have pushed it a bit far?
I don't know if Collins, I don't know his name, defender Collins, said he was going to come to training one day. We beat Forest Green. He wasn't a fan of mine. I think he did a big speech about me being 25 stone or whatever it was. And we beat him at home, and he was saying he was going to come to training ground and stuff on Monday and see us. And it's like, that's all right, you can, because I never train Mondays anyway. So stuff like that. So, but no, nothing really to talk about. Everyone, for what happens on the pitch, everybody's all friends after and stuff, and don't like the Joey Barton thing. Everyone makes out like it was this big thing where he wasn't very happy with me. But after the game, he came in and wished us good luck. It was just him on the pitch lost his control, because he lost control of the game, I think. And it was never anything. It was probably the refs more than anything were against me more than the players. So maybe that's one of the things maybe that was a bit detrimental to it. The referees probably picked up on it a little bit and singled me out sometimes. That's how I feel anyway. Maybe it's differently. I'll stick to it anyway.
Well, I did used to have a saying that we should put a Matt Rhead climbing frame in the club shop, because that's just what everybody seems to do, and they never got booked for it. But I mean, so what's the best? What was the best reaction that you had, either positive or negative, from an opposition team member or even a fan? I know you've given the fans a little bit of stick here and there, but what was the best reaction you've ever had?
So it's one way. I was at Lincoln. We played Whitehall, because he's away from home in the FA Cup, and there was this fan behind the goal giving me loads of stick, or even Lincoln fan. I don't know if he was drunk or something. And then he'd hammer me. He scored a hat trick that day. We lost 5-3. Anyway, the next game, he came up to me and apologised. Obviously, he'd had too many ales and stuff like that. But there's loads. The fans obviously used to hammer me and stuff. But I used to spur me on to do well. I think I said that a few times. There was one when I was at Mansfield. I scored against Lincoln in the FA Cup, and there was a fan when we were warming up. There was a Lincoln fan hammering me all while I was warming up, and came on and scored. And then a few years down the line, he came over to me. I think he was like doing a tour or something on the ground, and said, "Oh, I was that guy who you came over to when you scored. We scored. We played Liverpool in the next round of the FA Cup." And he was like, "I apologise." And it's all friendly banter, isn't it? But everyone's just trying to get a bite out of you and stuff like that. There was one where Nicky Cowleys saved me from fighting some fans. So they flooded the pitch in the playoffs away from home. They beat us. They went into the final, and they flooded the pitch. About 6 fans came and started knocking me, and obviously I got a bit angry. But Nicky Cowleys, I'll tell you, he grabbed me off the pitch, and I was quite angry that day. It's the only time I've really lost me cool on a football pitch. But there's loads of stuff that goes on, but it's just what it is, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah, that loss to Mansfield in the FA Cup, that still cuts deep, I think, for a lot of Lincoln City fans, knowing that we would have faced Liverpool in the next round. But we'll let it slide. We'll let it slide after everything that you did for us after that.
The mad thing that day was I scored that goal, and Adam Murray, the then now manager, he went off to hospital because when I headed it, I flattened him on the floor. And if you watch the video, he runs off to the Lincoln fans, but he had concussion that day from that. He ended up pulling over on the way home because he'd got a concussion from heading one in against Farm, which was always nice to remind him.
And I was going to ask you, Matt, obviously one of your sort of tricks of the trade was when we had a free kick, you'd stand in front of the opposition goalkeeper to put them off or whatever it might be. I'm curious as to would you say anything to them, or were you just standing there? What was your tactic in that?
We definitely have a chat. So what my tactic was, my thought process was try and get their mind off what they were doing, to try and set the wall up and stuff. So we'd have a little chat, and I don't think we scored that many goals from it, really. I don't think it even worked, but it's something I enjoyed doing. And even if it took like a little bit of concentration off them, then I think it was a good tactic. And getting close and personal with these goalkeepers, I'm not a massive fan of them myself, so it's always nice to see what they're about, I suppose.
Oh dear. So I mean, obviously, then after that, it was it was the end of your time at the Imps. It must have, like you say, it was obviously a difficult one to say goodbye. But you've had a few twists in your sort of post Lincoln City career. I mean, Billericay in particular sounded chaotic. Is there anything from that sort of time that you're willing to talk about and share?
Yeah, I didn't think when leaving Lincoln would have been such a difficult, brutal experience. Obviously, when I knew what part-time football was about, but nothing set me up for that Billericay experience. It was difficult. The chairman was I think he was either in prison or didn't come to the game to start off with. Met the manager. Everything seemed all right, and then as soon as the chairman came back, he sacked the manager. He was the manager. He was saying I should be scoring loads of goals because how much money he was paying me. It's understandable. Like I'm grown. I understand the situation, but I was never somebody who scored 30, 40 goals a season. So he obviously bought, and so on and so forth. I was there 8 weeks, and we came to agreement that it was probably for the best for everybody that I left that football club. And it was a difficult time. Like I just want to play football. I left Lincoln. Well, last game for Lincoln was against Stoke City, so it was amazing to leave in that way. But it was really left a void, to be fair, and it's difficult then because how professional the Cowleys were and how Lincoln was at the time. It was difficult to go back to part-time football. And I can understand where players come from playing high up to dropping down. Difficult to find a place in non-league for somebody if you've played full-time football. But I was fortunate enough. I went to Alfreton after that. Boreham Wood after that, and they were quite similar, quite professional. Luke Garrard was really good. Travelling was difficult again, but when you've been in such an amazing club and done amazing things, it's difficult to replicate that, and it always leaves a void, I think.
Yeah. And obviously now, go on, Emily. Sorry.
I was going to say now you're back where it all began in your footballing career at Kidsgrove as player manager. How's that been for you? Is a different experience being in the managerial position as well as a player? What's it been like for you?
Yeah, as a player manager, I'd say more manager than wanting to play, but it's difficult. We first pre-season, obviously this season, I didn't realise how difficult it was getting players in. Obviously, we struggled back end of last season to be safe. We didn't have a great squad last year. We changed the manager 2 or 3 times. Lowest budget in the league. Difficult when teams like Ensford are paying 3-4 times more than yourselves, and it's difficult to get players in. But I think this season we're optimistic. We've got the right type of people in. Me and Tom are aligned on what we want to do. I believe it's going to be a good season. We've done a lot of hard work. Like I say, we've been in 2 weeks now. First game tomorrow. There's no ID in place against professional football teams, so we'll learn so much tomorrow, and it'll be interesting to see where we are. We've done well with the recruitment. Spoke to a lot of players, which was really difficult because they're like babies. Some of them very difficult to speak to them. But listen, I'm enjoying it, and I love football, and I love the challenge. Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays during the week, speaking to people is amazing. I wouldn't be out of football for love and the money. So it's a challenge, but one I'm looking forward to, definitely.
So can we expect the Kidsgrove versus Lincoln City friendly in the pre-season then?
I did try and get it. Yeah, I won't play on that pitch again, but no. It'll be a good idea, definitely. Probably a bit too far for a friendly.
Have you brought anything to your management style? Have you brought anything to your management style that you've learned from Danny or Nicky? Anything that they did that you thought, yeah, and that's something I need to implement when I become a manager?
Yeah, literally everything, to be fair. No, we did. So when we took over last season back end, I think we had 10 games left. So Danny and Nicky were obsessed with video, VO. So you play games back and show. I think it's easier to show them. Like we'd speak to players last year at half time and say, listen, you're not doing this. He's saying, yes, I am. But then when you show them the video, they've got no ID in place. So that's what the Cowleys used to do, an hour and a half a day with Danny and Nicky, and they used to tell you what they wanted and show you what you weren't doing and what you were. It was never critical. It was just a way of, it was a learning process, really. And I think you need seats sometimes to actually believe some of the stuff that we're trying to tell you. So we brought that in Thursdays. So we'd have that on a Thursday, which all the players bought into because we never had that before, which made it a bit more professional. I think me and Tom have done VO as well. So that's another thing, spending your Sunday doing video and stuff. But maybe in the future we'll get somebody who can do that for us.
Am I right in thinking that there was a story about Danny asking if you'd watched your clips and they'd snuck something in?
Yes. So what happened was I used to just leave it on I wasn't a big fan at first, so I just leave it on the kitchen side. And he said, sat us all down. Danny did a big group, obviously. Everybody watched the clips. Oh, everyone watched clips. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, no, any issues? No. He said, Sean Raggett, have you watched your clips? He used to do them with training and everything. Sean was like, yeah, I think we've done all right. I was like, yeah, brilliant. I can see where we can improve and stuff. I said, did anybody notice anything? I was like, oh no, what's going on here? So then he put Mr Bean or somebody running through the training session between me and Sean Raggett, but nobody had obviously watched it. So I think we spent 2 hours that day watching it, making sure that nobody missed anything. But stuff like that, it was just obviously really, really funny. And everyone was laughing about it. But I love the video now. I probably first was like, it's a bit of a waste of time. But when you see and learn so much from them, the value, I think everybody's doing it now through non-league and even obviously full-time. They've got teams doing it. So it's amazing, and it's something that we've brought to our team as well.
Great stuff.
Fantastic. So one of the final questions that we've got was actually sent in by one of our Patreons to ask you. So they wanted us to ask, as a physical player who's now moved into a coaching role, what are your thoughts on the discussions and the changes that are under discussion around heading a football, particularly when it comes to very, very young players?
Yeah. I agree with bringing it in at young age. I know heading. I coach a girls' team, daughter plays. So I coach them on a Thursday and there's no heading. I agree with it because they're still growing at that stage. There's still damage that can be done. Like I say, my memory is not great. I'm only joking, but there's players obviously who have struggled going down the line, and you don't know what the future holds here. And it's not ideal that you're heading at such a young age. I think must be a cut-off where you can start heading a football or minimising it. There's no need to be doing it in training, I don't think. But if there's evidence there that it's damaging people in future life, then we need to do something about it, definitely.
Absolutely. And I mean, how is your, how's your situation with your injuries? I know you've had a few over the past few years. Everything all right now? You good?
Yeah, I had a neck operation. I lost feeling in my hand due to heading too many footballs. He said that especially, so he's had a lot of space to put in my neck, and I've got feeling back, thankfully, touch wood, because it was 50-50 to be fair. But listen, stuff like this happens. I knew what I was getting into when I played football, and I'd do anything to enjoy the experiences I've had. Obviously, you don't want it to affect you in later life, but thankfully, touch wood, I'm on the mend and available to play. No, not really. I don't play this season, but I've been fortunate, to be fair. Some people would lost feeling to touch and go.
All right. Well, look, I mean, we're coming up to the end of the podcast, and you had an amazing, almost an hour with us, Matt. We really genuinely do appreciate it. I'm going to make a slight tweak to the question that we're going to ask, because you have actually already answered it previously. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to throw this one to you. From your time at Lincoln, if you had to pick a fantasy five-a-side, who would you pick?
Former
obviously
goalkeeper.
I'd say keeper's understandable. That's
Harry Toffolo, great player. Shackle. 5 players need strikers now.
You can pick yourself.
Sure. No, definitely not. Not five-a-side. Can't edit in five-a-side, can you? Nathan Arnold, I think he's always good for a goal, isn't he? Thought Alex Woodyard was brilliant for us. Not going to score goals in five-a-side though. Jeez. It's a tough one, that. Probably Harry Anderson, he'll get you a goal as well. So, yeah. Tough.
That's not a bad five-a-side. Yeah, it's not a bad five-a-side team, that, is it?
Woodyard would run around, wouldn't he? Toffolo and Jason Shackle was incredible for the season I was there.
There we go.
Down from where he was, obviously coming to the end of his career, but yeah, we'll take that. I think that's all right.
Spot on. Well, look, Matt, thank you so much for spending an hour with us tonight. It's much appreciated. Like I say, when we started the pod, it was literally like we had number one with a bullet, like ideal guest would be Reedy, and we've managed to get you for this week. So look, have you got any more FPA appearances lined up that that you might be seeing you back in the city?
Maybe might come down for a few games. I think they get mentioned, come and do some commentary when they're up this way, up Stoke way and stuff like that. So I might see you throughout the season. It's always nice to touch base and see some familiar faces and watch a few football matches, see how we're getting on. Obviously, look out for the score weekly, and obviously check on how well they're doing at the minute, which is the players that are coming in now is again getting taken to the next level, I think. So it's a great time to be a Lincoln City supporter over the last 5-10 years, and enjoy it. As simple as that. Yeah, I'm enjoying it, watching it from afar, and I'm sure you are watching it every week, seeing the team evolve and the club. When I came to the club for a charity match of the week, it's completely night and day to when I first turned up. So I think everybody at the club and all the players that have been there should be proud of what they've achieved.
Super stuff. Right. Well, I think it's probably a good spot for me to say goodbye. Emily, if you want to say goodbye as well.
Yeah, goodbye. It was great speaking to you, Matt.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Matt, I'll leave you to sign us out, but we always do say, of course, up the Imps.
Up the Imps.
Up the Imps.
There we go.